But just to come back to our wards and our local government councillors, what can everyday civilians or community members do to, one, hold their ward councillors to account, and two, raise issues now, if now is indeed the right time to do so, to ensure that their service providers do their jobs?
Okay, I think the first thing is that your local ward councillor is not going to follow orders from every person that they meet in the street. Okay, the local ward councillor will hold community meetings, report back meetings, will have to gauge what people feel and reflect that in council. But in a ward, you could have people from the far right to the far left.
Yes.
So who does the local ward councillor represent? Ultimately, most of them will still toe their party line, okay, because most of them were voted for as a party representative and an individual. Independents are their exclusion to this. Ward committees are set up in all wards. They are there to assist the ward councillor to be more accountable, to communicate better, and to do needs assessments better. So let's say you are a sports person. There will be a representative of sports people on the ward committee. You should use that person to say, look, we really need a better soccer field because every Saturday it's completely booked and people are hijacking it or whatever for their matches.
Okay.
And through that ward committee, you can try and build support among the other sectors as well. Your ward councillor would then go and fight for that in council.
Okay.
But if there are 50 other wards, you may not get the sport field. You have to understand your ward councillor cannot deliver. Your ward councillor is your voice.
Okay.
Your voice in the council. The municipality has to deliver. And for that to happen, the whole council has to make a decision, including all the other ward councillors.
Yeah. So let's say there are a number of wards that are facing this problem of soccer fields, and they decide to write up a petition for their region, not just their wards. All together, they form a petition and they get everybody in the communities of those different wards to sign it. Then can they take it right up to the mayor?
Yes. You can make petitions directly to council. You can go through your ward committee. You can go through your ward councillor. You can also, a very good tactic is to invite your mayor to an area, to say, come and inspect what is happening here, or come and meet with the sports sector. The IDP process, which will unfold over the next year, is the ideal opportunity for this, because the law says the municipality has to consult civil society. There's usually a civil society or an IDP forum of some kind. Anybody who's got a strong feeling, a strong voice, who represents people, should go and fight there for what they want. But please, you have to understand that a meeting with local government is not a decision-making forum. The decision has to be made in council, where all wards are represented, and where the interests of the whole area can be taken into account. So don't blame your ward councillor if you don't get what you want.
Yeah.
But at least use your ward councillor for advice for the services that you are entitled to. If you need to find out how to get an indigent grant, or a rates rebate if you are too old to afford to pay the rates on your house, your ward councillor is the person whose door you should be knocking on, and their door should be open.
Okay. And all of their contact details are public information, so you can directly go to your councillor.
Absolutely.
Then the last thing I just want to understand is, how do we, or how do mayors decide who's on their council? Can they cherry pick who they like? Or
on the mayoral committee?
Yes, the 10 people on the mayoral committee, beg your pardon.
I think the best way to look at it is the same as a national cabinet. The council elects the executive mayor, as parliament elects the president. But the president then appoints the cabinet, because the president in the end is accountable for the work of the whole of cabinet. So the executive mayor at local level appoints their mayoral committee and can fire them if they don't perform.
And how often or how likely is it that a mayor will, in the case where they're coming in as a new representative of a different party, how likely is it that they will choose members for that mayoral council from the exiting party because they're doing a good job?
Totally unlikely.
But wouldn't that be mature if they're, delivering?
There are two systems in South Africa. The one is called the executive mayor system, where you are like the president, you appoint your own cabinet.
Okay.
That's followed in most municipalities. But the law also allows for something called the executive committee system, where let's say it's a 40%, ANC, DA, and then 10% others. where you can actually elect an executive, a mayor, not an executive mayor, and then you have a proportional representation, like a government of local unity, where 40% of your mayoral committee members, or your executive committee in that case, would be DA, 40% ANC, 10% EFF. That option is there, and in some provinces they have municipalities that are run like that.
Interesting.
I think if we go for, you know, if this thing becomes a bit of a disaster,
yes,
and government becomes very unstable and falls apart easily, I think that system may be implemented in more places.
But is it unlikely in the metros, for instance?
Yes, at the moment, but we've never had metros that have, you know, Cape Town very briefly was run by minority governments, but they managed to form coalitions always to form a majority. We've never had a minority government like we're going to have in Joburg before.